I had the absolute honour of sitting down with retired Harlem Globetrotter, who is now a coach of the Harlem Globetrotters, Sweet Lou Dunbar, at the Fonday Recreation Centre, where he said it kind of all started for him.
This is my 48th year, my 48th season with the world famous Harlem Globetrotters. Next year will be 100 for the Globetrotters, it'll be 49 for me if I'm still around. 50 years will be an amazing feat. This is probably the only real job I had in my adult life, being a Harlem Globetrotter, and it's been amazing. I mean, sometimes being a Globetrotter, you miss out on a lot of things at home, family-wise, but I think we sacrifice our home to make other people's homes' life better, and that can't be all bad.
Let's go back to the beginning. How did it all begin for you? Right here at Fonday?
Well, this was a part of it, actually. I used to come down here, and all the guys in the NBA used to come here to play. And actually, I was drafted by Philadelphia, and I opted to go to Europe back then. They weren't offering 18 million back then. It was like 40,000 or something like that. So I went to Europe, played a year in Switzerland, won the Swiss championship, came home and signed a free agent contract with the Houston Rockets. And so I went to the Summer Pro League in Los Angeles with those guys. And I just felt I wasn't getting a lot of playing time. I thought when I played I was doing pretty good. And some people from the Harlem Globetrotters saw me play. And they invited me to training camp. And Mel, pretty much history after that.
I mean, you've done pretty much everything with the Harlem Globetrotters, including playing. Your son is now a player. What does it take to be a Harlem Globetrotter?
Well, what we look for is a great basketball player. I mean, we can teach you how to spin the ball on your finger, pass behind your back. All that comes with a little time. But you need to know how to play the game, first of all. Because, when you come see the Harlem Globetrotters, you get two things. You get great basketball, and you get fun and entertainment for the whole family.
Do they have to be good dancers? I feel like it's a routine,
Well, I think this day and age, we got some guys that could go on Broadway. Because they are doing a lot of dancing. Kids, now Thunder Law, I just tell them every time I see him, just go ahead and bust a move, because I know he's gonna do some dancing.
Harlem Globetrotters began because black athletes couldn't play professionally in the United States.
Right.
It kind of seems unbelievable when you know how many people are really just killing it in the sport today, and we really couldn't have the NBA as it is without those players.
That's true, and coming out of the south side of Chicago, 5 guys and a little Jewish man by the name of Abe Saperstein started this. They used to play in this place called the Savoy Ballroom, because they used to call the guys the Savoy Big Five. And then Abe changed the name to New York because he wanted the people in the Midwest to think that they came all the way from New York to play in the Midwest. And then eventually he changed it again to the Harlem Globetrotters. He had a premonition. I mean, this was the early 1920s, 26, 27, And so, but the premonition came true. So in the early 50s, they started traveling to Europe. They started making this dream come true. And you're right. If it wasn't for the Harlem Globetrotters, they had nowhere else to go. Black athletes, basketball players had nowhere to go. So this was the start of that.
Did you ever speak to any of those early day Harlem Globetrotters? Because you started with the team in 1977.
Well, I had the opportunity to play with some of them. My very first year, I played with Meadowlark Lemon, Curly Neal. And my second year, I played with Geese Osby and the great Marcus Haynes. And my coach, Tex Harrison, also played back in the early 50s. So I had the opportunity to play with some of those guys. I played for 24 years with the Globetrotters. And a lot of people ask, well, who were some of the people you met? You met movie stars, and I had the opportunity to meet the Pope John Paul, and I thought that was amazing. But for me, having the opportunity to play with my childhood heroes, Meadowlark Lemon, Curly Neal, Marcus Haynes, and Geese Osby, coup de grace. That was an all-time great.
They must have had some stories.
Oh, most definitely. And you hear about when they used to go down south, they couldn't stay in hotels. They had to stay with black families, and then they used to play one game for the white artists and then go across the track and play for the black artists. That's how it was back in the day.
How does that make you feel? What are your thoughts on all of that?
Well, you know, I'm a Louisiana boy, so, you know, I know a little bit about that white only, you know, and then it had colored fountain, water fountain. So I knew about that when I was growing up. And to see that in the summertime in Louisiana, blistering, well, you know, here in Houston is blistering here. And to see their water fountain with cold water, and you just had warm water in your water fountain. It's totally two different water fountains.
Gosh, you know, in 100 years, it's like society has come such a long way, but then I feel like a lot of people now feel like it hasn't and that we haven't made enough progress. For you, having sort of lived through a lot of that and saying you grew up in Louisiana where there was certain fountains you couldn't use.
Yes. You know, it's strange because I was riding down here this morning and on the radio they were talking about Martin Luther King Day, and a lot of people, they said, well, you know, I don't know if it's changed or not, or are we going back to like what it was, you know, and that's true. But the Harlem Globetrotters kind of helped change that, you know. I mean, when I used to see Geese Osby and Mellock Lemon pick a white lady from the audience and dance with them on the dance floor down south, that was unheard of.
Let's face it, like that, let's be real, that got people killed.
Exactly.
You know, so that's a huge thing to be able to do.
Exactly, and to me, that helped break some of those barriers. That's why I say the Harlem Globetrotters, the power of the Harlem Globetrotters is undeniable, what they can do. Just with a basketball and a little comedy, you know, they helped break the color barrier down south. You know, there was an incident when they was playing, like the Jim Crow rules, you know, and they had an audience and they had the line dividing them, you know, the white audience and the black audience, and so they wanted to know if they could break that up. And so they asked the coach, Tex Harrison was the coach at that time, they had to ask him, would you play in front of these people with the divided audience? And so he said he was lucky. He didn't have to make that decision. The crowd made it for him. They moved the barrier.
Those are history-making moments.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Harlem Globetrotters really have been through all stages of history.
Oh yeah, you know, and just to give you another example, you know, back in those days when they went to Europe and or Latin America, South America, you know, planes wasn't going in every hour, you know, had to stay there for a little while. So they actually landed in one of the South American cities and they had a civil war going on. And so they heard that the Harlem Globetrotters was at the airport. They stopped the war for 3 days so the Globetrotters could go play.
That's amazing.
Is that a little power or what?
Just a little.
That basketball, a little round basketball.
What should we take away from that then? If Harlem Globetrotters were able to like move the needle in a huge way.
Nothing is impossible. We all can commingle together. You know, that's what it's all about. We as one.
Why is that? Why is sport something that is able to unite people like that? Or bring peace to a place?
It's fun. It's fun. You know, when you come see the Harlem Globetrotters, we try to make you forget your everyday frustrations. You know, I mean, that could be a whole lot of things going on in your life. You know, you got a bill over here you got to pay. But we're going to make you forget about those bills when you come see the Harlem Globetrotters. But when you leave, you got to pay that bill.
Yeah, got to get back to reality.
Yeah, yes,
for a moment.
Yes.
The war can stop for a moment. I mean, Harlem Globetrotters really, they do have this history of being ahead of their times in so many ways. Female athletes, that was something that they were up against it for sure. And Harlem Globetrotters were the first team to allow female basketball players to join the team.
1985, Lynette Woodard was our first female. She played with me alongside of me. So that was a good time. And she was the ideal person for the role. I mean, she was a beautiful young lady. She could play the game. She was a college All-American, captain of the 1984 U.S. Olympic team. What else can you ask for? I mean, she had the pizzazz, and she was a great one. She was a great star for the females with the Harlem Globetrotters.
And now you're a really diverse team.
I mean, we even got a guy from Poland, Dazzle. But Dazzle probably is the best ball handler we got. This kid is phenomenal.
And he can bend,
oh
right?
My goodness, yeah, he's a contortionist too. He does all kinds of stuff with it.
Really, the sky's the limit.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
having seen everything evolve over the years through the lens of being with the Harlem Globetrotters, does it make you think that maybe anything is possible?
Well, you want to think that way, that nothing is impossible. I mean, we're coming up on 100 years. You know, this is 99 years for the Globetrotters. And so obviously they're doing something right, you know, to be around that long. And I think, Mel, when I'm gone, you're gone, you're around for another 99, 100 years. Because it's hard to find good, clean, wholesome family entertainment. When you bring the whole family and come out and have a great time. And when you come see the Harlem Globetrotters, you know, if you know nothing about basketball, you know what a smile is. And that's what the Harlem Globetrotters do for you.